You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Astrolabe. It is Wednesday, and you know the rules. The most important rule of the Astrolabe is there is no show on Wednesday, except for when there is. And when there is, apparently it's an evening show, as Slutty Milk pointed out in the King Pill Discord. It happens Wednesday evenings because this is no longer a morning show, except for when it is. The plan is to continue being a morning show, but sometimes things happen, and things have happened today. Things have been happening like crazy today. God is trying to drown Texas. If you guys remember, a year ago there was the really bad flooding up in Kerrville, where that campsite got wiped out. A bunch of people died. Really, really bad flooding. Well, basically, very similar region is getting hit again, and this is just astonishing amounts of rain that you couldn't imagine could fall in one brief period of time. We've been relatively preserved where we're at. There's been flooding all around us, but our neighborhood is up out of it's just like the normal flood zones are flooding. It's not really breaking out too much in our immediate area. But I learned what thunderstorm training is. I keep seeing these weather guys talking about thunderstorm training, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Training a thunderstorm? Is this a typo? What does this mean? So I finally looked it up, and if you think of, imagine a train going down the tracks, and you have each of the train cars going down the tracks. Well, imagine each of the thunderstorms, each of the cells is a train car, and they're just one after another, just passing over one single geographical area and emptying themselves on it. That's what's happening. Yes, we're getting a train run on us by clouds. I would play the I fucking love trains thing, but I'd have to share the screen for you guys to hear it, and I'm not ready to share the screen yet because I've got a big announcement to make. So either we're getting thunderstorm training, and it's not totally proper to say we only got like 7 inches of rain in the last 18 hours. Places out to the west of us, specifically Bernie and Uvalde. Those are the biggest towns that have been just absolutely hammered by like 25 inches of rain in the space of 24 hours or so. So there's thunderstorm training. The other thing is that you get thunderstorms. I don't know what the name is for it, but normally like a thunderstorm like blows through. Well, occasionally, because of pressure and temperature and whatever else, the thunderstorm just stops. And it's just like an infinite river of rain just pouring out of the sky. So we're getting like a combination of both of those. Little tornado touchdown on the northwest side of San Antonio. That's a little ways away from us. Touchdown this morning in the middle of a pretty. The 1604 loop, and the interstate runs right through there. Pretty populated area, but a little tornado touchdown there, and then we were under a tornado warning a couple of times today, and then they both just kind of spun out into nothing. So we can't complain too much. We're warm, we're dry, we're fine, but had to cancel some plans because the traveling is a little. There's right now there's basically a wall of water heading its way down out of the hill country, coming down toward us, and it's supposed to peak in about 3 or 4 hours. So we're going to stay off the roads. We've seen enough reports of people being rescued from their cars as their cars float away on them. So I'm here to lay with you guys. I've got some stuff. I have some things, a couple things I picked out from since yesterday. A couple follow-ups on Lindsey Graham, and then we're going to talk about the announcement that's coming tomorrow. Trump's big speech tomorrow. And supposed to be basically about election security. We know that much. But we got a little speculation, couple inside takes about what to anticipate. So we'll read through those, and then we got some exquisite Q posting that I have to update you guys on. Just some of the best stuff that I've seen in the last 6 months or so. And then I've got these two articles that I mentioned yesterday that we're going to read. The first one is in the New York Times about how Marco Rubio is running Venezuela from afar. The Viceroy, they're calling him. They're straight up calling him the Viceroy of Venezuela. I've got a little video from Glenn Beck with some speculation about Marco Rubio, and then Trump the Ruthless. Christopher Caldwell inside Donald Trump's ruthless return. The hapless, almost slapstick first Trump administration was replaced by the most skilled, ruthless team of political operatives since the first term of Franklin Roosevelt. How did it happen? Well, we will find out. Zoomer Dylan says Ossoff and Warnock getting pounded like Texas is right now. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. There's this one article I'm going to read you guys. It's a brief one posted on Substack by Seth Keshel, one of the great election commentators. And he gives 4 possible courses of action that are tied to the president's address. So we will talk about those. However, before I get to that, I have a very exciting special announcement for you guys. I told you guys yesterday to keep your calendars clear for Labor Day weekend. Well, today, I'm excited to announce to you guys that it's official. The Cyberbullies' first IRL event is happening Labor Day weekend. ChudCon. ChudConEvent.com. If you want more information on it, ChudConEvent.com. This is ChudCon 2026, the inaugural ChudCon. Summer doesn't have to end. America turned 250. We're celebrating properly. 3 days in the Appalachian countryside with music, competition, camping, firelight, and the kind of camaraderie modern life rarely provides. This will be September 4th through 6th, Labor Day weekend, Frederick County, Virginia. It's a men-only weekend, rain or shine, and small by design. The intent, this is, spoiler alert, this is, there's not just going to be one ChudCon. The plan is for there to be more ChudCons. ChudsCon? ChudCons. ChudCons. So if you can't make this one, there will be future ones to make. But the intent is to always keep it small. We don't want it to get too out of control. We want to keep it intimate. You can come get intimate with the boys. One last great weekend before the season changes. ChudCon is part music festival, part fat camp, and part LAN party in your older brother's cool room with skull posters. Come with friends or come alone. Either way, you will not stay a stranger for long. You can test your mettle, lift, grapple, throw, compete, learn, and be sharpened. We've got real photos of real chuds at ChudCon 2026. Don't ask us how we got them. But this is what it'll look like. Out in the Appalachian woods. Barbell lifting. Grappling. Boulder throwing. And for those perhaps less physically inclined, Halo 3 and Call of Duty LAN parties. Return to nature, sleep outside, jump in the pond, gather around the fire. Remember that comfort is not the same thing as living. Bonfires, early morning dunks in the pond. Find your tribe. Our guys can be hard to find out in the world. ChudCon brings them all together. You'll leave tired, thoroughly white-pilled, and a few friends richer. Morale maxing. So the weekend, it'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Show up on Friday. Arrival, camp setup, dinner, opening ceremony, live entertainment, first bonfire. On Saturday, we'll have competitions, lifting, grappling, guests, music, LAN parties, pond time, food, and fire until morale peaks. And then on Sunday, we'll have breakfast, closing ceremony, teardown, and the ride home with news stories. People worth meeting there. Special guests, some guy named Matt Erickson, streamer, political commentator, and host of the Astrolabe. Mr. Westford, you may know him from the internet. Mr. Westford will be there, streamer and content creator with an excellent mustache there. The White Hodge twins, you may have heard of them. They're content creators and funny guys. The White Hodge twins. This is your opportunity to go meet them. They're white. John Mounier, coming over from Europe. A fitness coach, bodybuilder, content creator. The man... Yeah, basically if you're coming here if you're coming to ChudCon because you want to show off your big old muscles, here's your competition. Johnny will be there. And then last but not least, Abba Alabanza, artist, musician, and content creator. You may have seen the man on Instagram. singing reggae music about how bad it is to be gay. A true patriot. So, admission starts at $250. There's some add-ons you can get if you don't have camping gear. Maybe you're like, oh, I can't go camp. I don't have the gear. I don't want to try to fly with my tent or whatever. Don't worry. We got you covered. You got a camping gear package, which would be a sleeping bag, a tent, a cot. We'll have you covered with that. There's a hot shower package for the softies out there. Those who want to go out and roll around in the mud with the boys and sleep in the woods, but you got to have the hot shower. I'm speaking of myself. There's a hot shower package, and there will also be a commemorative ChudCon t-shirt. We will be providing the food. The Cyberbully will be providing the food. 5-meal food package runs from Friday dinner through Sunday breakfast. So the gear package includes a tent, a sleeping mat, a sleeping bag, and a pillow. $250 gets you in. Now, if you want to attend, but you don't necessarily have the cash, you can apply for a sponsored ticket. There is no guarantee that you will get one, but give us a brief message explaining why you deserve special treatment in the official ChudCon charity sponsorship program. We will review it and decide whether we can make things work for you. And then, if you can't make it, but you would like to sponsor someone, there's also a way to do that. You can sponsor a ticket, sponsor as many as you want. Let us know so we can connect your generous donation with a lowly chud who can't scrounge up the dough to attend this once-in-a-lifetime event. So, who is ChudCon for? Men 18 and older who want a weekend of competition, music, camping, brotherhood, and morale building without corporate event energy. Can I come alone? Absolutely. Meeting dudes you should have known already is part of the point. How could you pass up a weekend to go meet dudes? That's what it's for. ChudCon, if you ever wanted to meet some dudes, ChudCon is the place to go. Do you need to be athletic? No, you don't. Compete, learn, spectate, or relax. You don't need to prove anything to attend. What if it rains? It is rain or shine. If it rains, we get wet. Go get wet in the woods with the boys. If conditions become dangerous, organizers adjust intelligently. It is in Frederick County, Virginia. You will get the address. Once you have registered, there'll be toilets, hand washing, cold showers, primitive campsites, nearby stores, plus optional camping gear and hot showers. There will be alcohol. It's BYOB. Bring what you plan to drink. Drink responsibly. Follow all event rules and applicable laws. We are sponsored by Sport Drink, so there will be sport drink available for your official hydration partner. And then if you want to go, but you don't want to camp, you're beyond that point. You're like, I'm not sleeping in the woods. I'm not sleeping in a sleeping bag, but I want to come hang out. I want to be there for the bonfire and competition, lawn games, bocce ball, croquet, badminton. If you want to be there for all of that, there are hotels that are not far away. So it's a beautiful location in the woods, cow pastures all around. Beautiful, beautiful location in Appalachia, but not too far away. There's some gas stations. There's all the grocery stores you could imagine. There's Costco. There's all sorts of stuff. So you could you could go stay at a hotel if you would like. Once again, summer ends when we say it does. Limit 100. Like I said, we want this to be small and stay small. So once again, this is ChudCon event. This is Labor Day weekend this year. Get your tickets now. You can go to chudconevent.com. We are very, very excited about this ever since the Cyberbully suggested this opportunity to go meet some chuds in person and just hang out, man. You know, like sometimes you just got to get together with the boys and just do some shit. Just bro out. Play some video games, get drunk, listen to some great music, have a bonfire, all kinds of stuff. So chudconevent.com. Yes, Jeff Accordion, the website is chudconevent.com. ChudCon event.com. Proximity to Patriots. Yep, that's what it's about. You got to get into proximity to Patriots. And this is going to be the first one, but not the only one. Stay tuned for more ChudCon news in the future. All right, now that I got you guys told about that, and I've got the screen shared, I need to get caught up on some Patriot payments. Yesterday, after the show, we had a couple that came in. Let's hope this works. It did not work. Of course. Fantastic. I know how to make it work. Give me 1 second. Fix that. Yeah, I've been able to comprehensively conclude that some of these sources are interfering with one another, so only one of them will work at a time. Here we go. David Atlas.
Never listen to a panickin.
So true, David Atlas. Thank you for the $10. Never listen to a panickin.
Never listen to a panickin.
And this is for earlier.
I fucking love trains!
Then, what else do we got here? James Lindsay Graham Bell. Oh, for fuck's sake. I just refreshed it. Why do you not work now? What the hell? One works, but then the next one just doesn't. For no reason whatsoever. Let's try this again.
Hot damn, getting thick as fuck up in air. All y'all my niggas, and all my niggas love Donald J. motherfucking Trump. Peace out. 250 and shit.
So true. So true, James Lindsay Graham Bell. My man, thank you for the 1776. 5 gifted subs.
Welcome to the
from
suck, homos.
the glorious, gayest man. So incredibly gay. Let me find the
Dave Johnson is the gayest person to ever walk this green earth.
Here is the biggest, gayest man in the world.
Wow. So gay. So gay.
Thank you, gay Dave. Say a prayer for the man. He's having a rough go of it right now, dealing with some health issues. Hasn't been around nearly as much as we would like. So say a prayer for our great friend, gay Dave. And then we also got $109 in magical internet money sent from Lurch, the great Patriot Lurch. Thank you for the $109. I added that to the goal already. We also had $14.88 that came in through Streamlabs from Wigatine Maxer. All right, and that one, you guys get the full song for the first one. And then, but wait, there's more. $250 from the Dankest Vanilla.
Been working harder than an ugly stripper lately, and I don't have time for GodHatesCanada.com. Need help? Let's put our ideas on there and give Matt % of profit as an added revenue stream while also spreading cultural propaganda for our guys. Christ first. America always.
Dankest Vanilla. Patriot, thank you for the $250. You have absolutely made Mrs. King Pild's night. Thank you guys. GodHatesCanada.com. Look at this. Business opportunities. I love this idea. You guys build GodHatesCanada.com, spread cultural propaganda for our guys, and give me some money from it. The greatest idea in the world. Everyone contact the Dankest Vanilla. Blow up his email inbox. We need to build GodHatesCanada.com. Absolutely a win-win-win. Incredible Patriot things happening. And then thank you, Emperor Atreides, for the gifted sub to Ninja of Spades. And
welcome to the suck, homos.
All right, is the sound coming through on that for you guys? I had to change the source on my end, and I'm not getting the sound on the kick one. Yeah, it worked that time. Thank you, it's Damage Jeremy. Subscribing. And then also thank you for the 50 kicks, Emperor Atreides. I rounded one up earlier, so I'm not gonna replay that because it'll add $50 to the goal, then I'll have to go in and fix it. But thank you, Emperor Atreides. Thank you guys very, very much. We've already hit the goal. So I appreciate you. This has been another great Astrolabe. Tune in for the next one. and I will leave you guys with Hulk. No, I'm just kidding. Dankus Vanilla says, contact me at leapforsleep@gmail.com. Dude is just dropping out his email address for you guys. leapforsleep@gmail.com. If you wanna help him get godhatescanada.com set up, then that's the place to go. He says he doesn't give a fuck. Patriot! Powerful Patriot energy tonight, boys. All right, speaking of, I stumbled across this I have no idea how I've never seen some of these clips before, and I don't think it's AI, but even if it is, this is some funny shit here. Apparently these guys, their whole shtick is like going around celebrities while they're playing golf and like saying funny things to them to try to make them laugh while they're mid swing. And they encountered a great man, a powerful gentleman, distinguished president, Donald John Trump.
Built a golf course just to miss this green.
It's an easy one to miss.
That swing looks a little broken. Was it made in China?
I don't know. Not too much is made in
Yeah.
What would your followers say if you hit this left?
Oh,
there we go.
I don't know about that, guys.
Oh, a little short, kind of like your
second
second term.
What'd you guys think about saying something in front of the press?
Yeah, he was actually a good sport about it. I don't know if you guys could hear what he said, but he said not a lot gets made in China when they asked if his swing was made in China, and you might not have been able to see. He left it just a little bit short, plopped it, took a bath.
Caitlin, do you miss just being able to piss in the bushes on the course?
What was that? What was the rude remark I heard back there?
It's ma'am!
Now that your daughter's a billionaire, do you borrow money from her?
You have Jenner money and Kardashian money, and yet you still don't have enough money for lessons.
how do you look like you're about to give me a hard candy?
Grandma Caitlin.
I borrow every penny I can get out of her.
Here is a man that has just...
Body cams have been catastrophic in it for the black race. It pains me to say that I'm becoming blue line pilled, and the more we move the needle, the more cops are going to become our guys. Gotta go spend some quality time watching Cop Slop with my wife.
Patriot, Living Dead. Thank you, sir. There was an issue with the file, so you probably didn't get the Erica in the background for it. My wife says Cop Slop is the best. Have yourself a good night, sir. Thank you for the 1488. Body cams have been catastrophic for the black race. No kidding. No kidding. I was just about to say something just before that came in. What was it? You're talking to Caitlyn Jenner. It was whatever. One of the lines they had was, you have Kardashian money and Jenner money and you still don't have money for lessons. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Just perfected cheating on his wife. Holy shit.
Oh, okay. Now this one here. They absolutely cooked this guy. I aspire to this level of I don't know, insult quality, to be able to drop these sorts of bombs on a dude while he's golfing, and also for the dude to like be able to keep his head in the middle of it.
Penny I can get out of her.
Here is a man that has just perfected cheating on his wife. Holy shit. Any guy that comes through with wet hair, you know he just got out of the shower from a nice massage. Robert Kraft who?
Yeah. Here's a guy who beats his pet bird.
Hey, Polly! Quit walking! Puts his parrot in a fucking chokehold.
You guys are so spot on. I'm his son. I can't believe
A guy who, you look like a guy who beats his pet bird. Exquisite. This is the sort of thing that Amy does. When we're out in public and we're people watching, she sits there and comes up with these sorts of things. And it is the funniest thing in the world. I never in my life would I have ever come up with, you look like a guy who beats his pet bird. And routinely, Amy will just say something along those lines. One of the best was one of the soccer players for the Galaxy back in the day. She said that he looks like a guy who goes to the park and has conversations with birds, or something to that effect. And it's insane because that's literally what he looks like. He was like this big, dopey Norwegian guy with totally vacant eyes. Yeah, it looks like he goes to the park and talks to birds. Incredible. His name is Jorgen Skjelvik. If you wanna look him up and see, actually here, I'll just look him up real quick and you can see Jorgen Skjelvik. Yeah, this guy right here. Looks like a guy who goes to the park to talk to birds. My wife, boys.
Might as well.
Hey, Trump, can you make America like Jews again?
You're a billionaire, but you dress like you just cleaned out a TJ Maxx.
Don't worry, Mr. President. My house got raided too.
Oh, it's a dart.
Look at him!
Try.
Look at that stance! Admiring his handiwork. Dude says, "Don't worry, Mr. President. My house got raided too." Right in the middle of the swing. Trump laughs in the middle of the swing and pins it and then stands there admiring it. This is, I believe, what they call aura farming.
Giddy up.
Try.
We didn't phase him.
Didn't phase him at all.
Dude, your scorecard is shadier than Hunter Biden's laptop.
Not a lie.
It's Eric.
Hunter would hit this green.
Oh, okay.
Kind of chunked it,
Your
but still
music
looked
sounds
decent.
like Toby Keith got hit with a
Okay, here we go. John Daly.
Oh, okay.
Your music sounds like Toby Keith got hit with a 6-iron.
Your boobs look awesome. Do they have an OnlyFans?
You want to suck them?
John, your album's called There's Only One Way. Is that about you missing cuts?
I don't work on weekends.
I Coke is suing you for giving them a bad look.
We got one, boys. Come on.
You look like you march for white trash lives matter.
You look like your religion is church's chicken.
They're trying.
Oh yeah, straight from getting his haircut at the Golden Corral.
You look like Joe Dirt ate Joe Dirt.
Oh, God, I've ate him twice. His pussy tastes so good.
Could you hear what he said? Is it coming through? There are captions, but they're probably too small for you guys to see on the screen.
You look like Joe Dirt ate Joe Dirt.
Oh, God, I've ate him twice. His pussy tastes so good. Take that, Earthling.
He said, "Oh God, I ate him twice. His pussy tastes so good."
John, how is your Taco Bell receipts more expensive than your prenups?
Because I eat a lot.
Patriot.
Taco Bell tastes a lot better than my ex-wife's pussies.
Nothing we can do.
Oh.
You look like you beat the shit out of your husband.
You look like you're really waiting on a lottery ticket to hit.
You definitely know your candles. When you smell it, you call it chamomile because it reminds you of food.
Got him! Got him!
Oh!
Why candles? Why candles?
That's specific.
It wasn't until he turned around that I realized it was a dude. You look like you beat the shit out of your husband. Oh, this is the only way to golf. You got to go out with your boys like this and try to knock them off their game. This is what ChudCon's going to be like. You don't want to miss it. All right, a couple of follow-ups on the Lindsey Graham conversation from yesterday. This is an amazing quote from Lindsey Graham when he realized how politics works. He said, this from this Atlantic article, it says, "Either way, the stakes remind me of a question I once asked Graham on a long flight over Central Asia. At what point in his career, I wondered, had he gathered the boldness to assert himself so overtly in foreign policy?" This is Lindsey Graham's response. "When I was first elected to the House," he recalled, "I looked for the they. They who run things. They who know how things really work. They who know what they're doing. But I couldn't find the they. After that," he went on, "I went to the Senate. But there was still no they. And then I started to get invited to the White House to closed-door briefings and to meetings with top officials. No they. What I finally realized, he concluded, is that there is no they. There is only we. And we usually don't know what the fuck we're doing. Now, Kaiser von Lohengrin says, Lindsey Graham was an excellent political operator in getting what he wanted and in surviving against challenges. He should be taken at his word here. There is no they who run everything and are making grand calculated decisions with everything accounted for. It's just human beings in positions trying to make things happen who often do not know what they're doing. And people can actually just assert themselves and work their way into positions where they get to be the ones making decisions. Not necessarily as a senator, as that's quite difficult and takes a lot to pull it off, but pretty much anyone who is a modestly well put together white guy can actually replicate this at the local and often even the state level, and take over these positions with just a modicum of effort and shape them in the direction they want. It's actually probably never been easier at any point in all of human history to do so, due to how little attention is actually paid here and how few people are actually inserting themselves into these positions. It's how the DSA was able to rise. They pulled it off while being composed entirely of dysgenic, self-hating freaks and foreign biomass. Patriots can actually just do the same thing and outperform them easily. It just takes the slightest bit of effort to do so. This is like a thing, I've brought it up here on the show before, but I think about this all the time. Whenever I'm listening to anybody describing the machinations of this person or that person in whatever office or capacity that they're operating within. And I try to not just imagine, how'd you say this? Like, I try to actually think through what that person's day-to-day life is probably like. So I imagine them being, I don't know, like Scott Besson. What do you think Scott Besson's day-to-day life is like? He goes into his office, he works, he's having meetings, he's on phone calls, he's going and going to this facility and having these conversations with this person there, or going into the White House and talking to Trump. And at the end of the day, he goes home and he takes a shower and he goes to bed. And he gets up in the morning and he gets dressed and eats breakfast. And like, these are some of these sorts of things. If you're watching a movie, they often won't portray some of these sorts of things unless they're trying to do it specifically to sort of, like as they're setting the story up, or they're like going to have a scene set in the room while the guy's getting ready or something like that. But in general, if you're watching a movie, you're watching hour and a half, 2 hours, and the whole storylines are going to get compressed. So you're just going to see the highlights. But you're not going to see the really mundane stuff. They're just going to jump cut between different things and leave parts out. You're not going to see them sit there and eat their entire meal. You're not going to see them go in and go to the bathroom. You're not going to see them fiddling with their phone trying to get directions on Google Maps or whatever. And I think it's really easy to imagine, whether it's the White House or the Fed or the City of London or the EU or wherever these places are, Iran, it's easy to conceive of these people as characters in a movie where you're only seeing the highlights of everything. You're not seeing, where it's like, you slice off this segment of daily activity where they're in the middle of the action or the commentary or whatever. But if that's the only frame that you have for people, then you're going to have a pretty distorted view of them, and then downstream of like how the world actually works around them. And so many of the biggest, most elaborate conspiracy theories, I even think about this a lot with respect to the Q stuff. Like somewhere, there's someone who sits down, once upon a time, sat down and typed these things out and hit post and posted it on the internet. There was a physical human being sitting there doing that. And after they finished making the Q post, they got up and they went and they did something else. What are they doing? What's happening throughout their day-to-day life is they're just going through life. And I'm like kind of overemphasizing this point because I think it's a valuable frame to continually occupy, and you'll realize that the world is, on one hand, it's much more sophisticated and complicated than any one person can deduce. And also it's much more simple and straightforward than it often appears. by and large, virtually every human being exists in some little narrow frame that they occupy, and they have their habits and their routines that they're going through every day, and they have some sort of a justification to themselves for why they're really just kind of like a cog in a bigger machine, and they don't know everything that's going on, and they're just operating within whatever narrow frame that they have. They're not party to some big, dramatic, grand conspiracy where they've reasoned through every single event and delineated exactly what's going to happen. At this day, it's going to be this, and then at this time, it's going to be this, and virtually every big grand conspiracy is a oversimplified distillation of the actual truth, but you don't want to oversimplify it too much, because then you wind up in a position where you're like, oh, there's actually this one single group that controls the whole world, and they've dictated out every single event, and they're hiding behind every single corner, and there's nothing you can do to get away from them or overcome their plans because they've thought of every possible contingency. This just does not exist. None of those theories about how the world works are ever real or ever actually map on to reality. So there isn't a they who run everything. There's lots of different theys who have lots of different priorities, and they're operating within lots of different frames. And there's a constant, perpetual struggle for power and control. Where there is power, there is competition for that power, and there is not a single monolith. So anybody who's trying to convince you that there is some they who runs everything is trying to demoralize you into inaction. They're actually trying to pacify you. They're trying to convince you that action is that inaction is more prudent than action. Which is kind of ironic because those sorts of people think that this sort of sentiment, that there is no they who run everything, they're like, oh, that's what they want you to think. They want you to think you don't exist because then you can't find them. If you don't think they exist, then you can't find them. And that's how they get away with everything, because you think they don't exist. I challenge every single one of those people who thinks that way to make a long list of all the people who you think they are, like actual names, actual identities, and sit down and sketch out a hypothetical daily schedule for that person for, 2 weeks. Map these people together and see if that theory continues to hold water. And then here's an interesting observation from, I don't know who this guy is, never seen him before, Park McDougald. It's a powerful name, Park McDougald. Senior writer at The Scroll, a daily afternoon newsletter from Tablet Magazine. So I guess if I know a Tablet Magazine, I kind of maybe have a vague sense of who he might be, but I just like what he said. He said, one thing I'll say about Lindsey Graham, which also applies to John McCain. A lot of people on the right romanticize the Scots-Irish as the based element of the Protestant founding stock. They're tough, patriotic, they fight hard, they don't take shit from anybody. Many even fought for the Confederacy. So cool. And yet, many of these same people recoil in horror at Scots-Irish politicians who apply the same attitude to foreign affairs, i.e., kill the bastards, death before dishonor, will be damned if we let some two-bit communists or terrorists push us around, etc., etc. Suddenly, this is dangerous warmongering to be condemned by all right-thinking Connecticut Unitarians, ladies' knitting circles, and based nationalists. I mean, yeah. Yeah, all this like, oh, he's a warmonger. What does that even mean? He's a warmonger. We shouldn't like him because he mongers war. This is just like gay libertarianism. There's a time for war. When there's a time for war, you sure want the warmongers on your side. Are you saying like corruption? This is like war for corruption? Okay, well, that's not an argument against war. That's an argument against war for corruption. or like war in pursuit of or for corrupt ends. But it's not a case against war. It's not a case against a powerful military. It's not a case against military action. It's just warmonger is just like, it's just kind of a gay slur that is lacking in meaning. Like what was Lindsey Graham mongering war for? He wasn't getting rich off of it. It seems pretty clear he just believed in it. And he saw himself as a patriot. I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to plead hypocrisy here, and I'm not going to try to make the same case for John McCain, but I probably should. Viewing these people as just corrupt warmongers who just like were trying to get rich and they want to kill our kids so they can get rich. It's not useful rhetorically. It doesn't get you what you want rhetorically. And it's kind of gay. And honestly, it's not even really true. It's probably really useful, again, as a similar frame to the one I was talking about here. It's probably useful to also force yourself to assume every single interlocutor that you have believes what they are saying. They see themselves as the good guy. Sincerely, authentically, they believe that they are the good guy. They have a moral justification for what they are doing, and they feel obligated to do what they are doing. They feel morally obligated to do what they're doing. That doesn't mean they are morally obligated to do it. But if you're going to, what would be the word here? Interlocute? I don't know what the verb form here would be. But if you're going to engage in interlocution with someone like that, force yourself to start from the premise that they mean what they say. They are a stone cold believer in the decisions that they've made, the actions they've taken, and the causes that they're pursuing. If for no other reason than just because it means you're actually living in the real world. You're actually engaging with the world as it is. You're not living in your imagination. You're not fighting fake wars in your head against real wars in the world. Now, speaking of fighting wars, here is a powerful, handsome warfighter, Pete Hegseth.
At the Department of War, we have the most elite warriors on the face of the earth. Every single day, you are pushed to your absolute physical and mental limits to master the profession of arms. We demand your all, and you give it. But while we invest heavily in our weapon systems
Trust Blanstar says, goddamn the retard right wanting to make me reevaluate McCain. Pretty sure he was a shitlib snake, but now you've made me have to rewind. Yeah, I mean, you can rewind and then still conclude he was a shitlib snake. Like, this is probably where I would land if I got around to, I don't know, reevaluating my position on John McCain. But I think that it's a useful exercise. Jeff!
The dorks LARPing is based Tyler Robinson and calling for Civil War II on the timeline dislike warmongers because of principles and stuff.
No kidding. No kidding. Isn't that just rich? The dorks LARPing as base Tyler Robinson and calling for Civil War II on the timeline dislike warmongers because of principles and stuff. We need a revolution. We need a revolution to stop those warmongers. We need Americans dead in the streets so that we can stop those evil warmongers. What's happening to people? How are people losing their minds like this? Absurd. Tyler J says, roses are red. I'm a warmonger. Now face the wall and take my warschlonger. Very common word in politics.
Platforms and gear, our most decisive tactical advantage will always be the individual warfighter. We have a sacred duty to maintain that advantage. which is why we must constantly look for new ways to optimize your performance, your resilience, and your long-term health. And to meet that commitment today, I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best. Because it's well-established science that as we age, testosterone levels often naturally drop. Under the supervision of our world-class medical professionals, warfighters age 30 and older are going to be tested annually as part of their periodic health assessment. It's a health assessment that happens every year. We're just adding this test.
Boys, Donald Trump is ensuring that the military gets T-checked now. We're testosterone checking our warfighters, and as Slutty Book says, me and the boys joining the military for free testosterone. Young doom scroller, I have an opportunity to tell you about. Sit down for a minute and listen to my Uncle Pete here.
Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to get the test as well. If treatment is recommended, it's entirely your choice to receive testosterone replacement therapy. This initiative, it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities, protecting your longevity, and ensuring you have the biological foundation required to sustain the fight. We owe our warriors the absolute best medical care in the world, and this program delivers on that obligation. Taking care of your long-term health means ensuring you remain strong, resilient, and capable. Not
Jeff!
Hegseth is filling your balls.
Thank you! Thank you, Hegseth! Thank you for filling our boys' balls. They've been needing it. Josh Blanchard says my morning wood can only get so strong, Mr. President. You don't want to let your president down, do you? You need to be T-maxing. You need to be sunning your taint.
not just for your next deployment, but for the rest of your life, so you can thrive long after you take off the uniform. As we know, the modern battlefield is brutal and unrelenting. It requires and demands maximum psychological and mental readiness. And by addressing these health markers early, we're keeping you on the leading edge of lethality and giving you the same level of support that you give this nation, the absolute best.
I gotta say, the camera work on this, look at that. The lighting, the camera back here. I don't know if you guys can see it real well, but the tie, the color of the tie, the just perfect bust framing here. I'm gonna bust.
Godspeed, keep going, and God bless.
The High T Department of War. How can you possibly blackpill? I wouldn't have even thought to put this on my to-do list for the Trump administration. Testosterone checking military members and then offering them TRT. Boys, we are so fucking back. Blackpilling is low T, yes. We need to conscript blackpillers, force them to get their T checked, and then jam the needle into them. And speaking of the war fighters, listen to this announcement from my president.
The administration will soon
at the Pennsylvania Defense and Innovation Summit.
The administration will soon take historic action to get illegal alien truck drivers who are just killing a lot of people. They can't read signs. Many of them are on drugs or alcohol, and they shouldn't be driving these things. And they came in totally illegally, and we don't want them.
We don't want them
driving all over American roadways, and we're going to replace them with proud American veterans who are going to take our veterans, who are going to make them. We're going to teach them a lot about driving trucks, and in many cases they know. We're going to say any American who's driven a heavy truck for our military will automatically be eligible for a commercial driver's license. So we're going to get them taken care of.
So if you as a veteran American warfighter, if you drove a truck in the military, you will be automatically eligible for a CDL. Another thing that I never would have even thought of. You know, each little thing like this is not going to like make the difference. It's not going to be the thing that like pushes it over the limit. But there's so many little things like this. Whether it's for getting our boys jobs, getting them TRT, lining them up with post-military careers. We got a guy in the Discord, family member, just got hired on as a new air traffic controller under their new program that they targeted at gamers. Making good money straight out of the gate. Jeff Garrick says they're bricks in the wall of patriotism. That's a great way of putting it. Each one of these is a little brick in the wall. And I'm going to have Pink Floyd stuck in my head. GWAT vets getting CDLs. Man, how can you not be, just at least be grateful for these sorts of things? These mean so much. This should buy so much goodwill. All these little gestures that they're making. And for the guy who gets lined up for this, who has his post-military career lined up for him straight away, this could mean the world to him. Now, we've got a SUDA contribution.
Yankee Doodle came to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Father and I went down to Canada along with Captain Goodwood.
I love this timeline.
As thick as hasty pudding, Yankee Doodle, keep it up.
Ah!
Dandy, mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy.
It's gotten to the point where I almost can't recognize JD Vance when I actually see him. Suda says we're doing this regularly now. Yankee Doodle Vance. We're going to... The Yankee Doodle Vances will continue until Vance himself becomes aware of them. Oh, man. He says, Carl Dahl. Yeah, shout out Carl Dahl. Powerful patriot. He's the Jeet hunter because his cousin who had just beaten an awful addiction was getting on his feet, was killed by a truck driver, you know who. Get them out. Every single one of them, get them out. Tell all these vets, hey, we're going to give you a CDL. We're getting these guys out of the country, opening up jobs for you, creating even more demand for those jobs. I've got more stuff tomorrow on data centers. Trump posted something about data centers today, but I've got other stuff to get to, so we'll include that in tomorrow's show. But what do you say? I'm making the Pazzo show Vance the edits. Vance will be aware. Incredible! Yes, we've got an N. JD Vance are going to watch the Astrolabe. The Dankest Vanilla says, send me emails of your designs. Let's legitimately create a cool side of t-shirts and bumper stickers for our guys while creating another revenue stream for Matt. Let's fucking go. Shoot me an email. realkingpilled@gmail.com. Shoot me an email and we'll talk. We'll talk because there's just shoot me an email. Dankest Vanilla. Okay, so now this is from Sundance over at Conservative Treehouse. He says, smooth sailing ahead for DNI nominee Jay Clayton. Now, it's funny because last I remember, Trump had pulled Clayton's nomination, but apparently he put him, he renominated him or something like that, and I missed it. But Sundance says, one thing is obvious from today. The SSCI want Jay Clayton confirmed as DNI. The Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, the SSCI, Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, held a quick one-round nomination hearing for Director of National Intelligence Jay Clayton. The entire event lasted just under 2 hours with little room for controversy. It should be smooth sailing from here. Other than a little faux resistance from SSCI Vice Chairman Mark Warner, the nomination hearing was otherwise unremarkable. You can always tell the position of the intelligence community by the positioning of their enabling structure within the SSCI. No worries ahead for Clayton. The committee may organize a party line vote so that Democrats can maintain their resistance bona fides, but in a general sense, it's all optics during the downhill glide to the nomination. That said, what this means in the larger picture of the U.S. intelligence community system during the Trump administration is yet to be determined. So obviously, if the SSCI is super happy about Jay Clayton, that may not necessarily be a good thing, but it depends. He says, obviously, FISA 702 reauthorization will likely be attached by Senate Majority Leader John Thune into a legislative package for a companion vote. The SSCI and larger Senate chamber all support Clayton and FISA 702, though there may be some optics of resistance from positional Republicans. It seems pretty clear that acting DNI Bill Pulte was put in place by the White House to stay on through the release of election-related material planned for Thursday night. This move keeps DNI Clayton away from any fallout tied to the 2020 election investigation. And if the White House can pull off a presidential presentation that grabs public attention, Clayton could step into the role later with a mandate to dig into the details of the release without being directly linked to it. You see how they set this up? So Pulte is acting DNI when the release is made. They want Clayton, so they're going to confirm Clayton. And then Clayton is not the guy who was there when it was released. He's just stepping into the job, picking up where his predecessor left off. The second aspect is yet another motive for fast DNI confirmation by an SSCI apparatus that really doesn't want to go down the rabbit hole of foreign activity in the 2020 election. ADNI Bill Pulte, acting DNI Bill Pulte, and Special Government employee John Solomon are now positioned to have one shot at grabbing political attention framed around the fraudulent 2020 election outcome on Thursday night. Soon thereafter, Clayton will take the reins at DNI and continue the goal of removing politics from the activity of the larger intelligence community, which is a bit of a euphemism. So then I have, here's the details about the speech tomorrow. It'll reportedly show new declassified intelligence reports that reveal a foreign nation's plans to interfere in the 2020 presidential election. And it's basically confirmed it's probably going to be China, that they have actual tangible proof of China interfering in the election. The president will reportedly be joined by CIA Director John Ratcliffe, acting DNI Bill Pulte, FBI Director Kash Patel, and DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. So Seth Keshel here, who is an absolute patriot, he says the EAC was fired. This is the election something commission, basically like a commission involved with overseeing elections and stuff. Trump just fired the whole commission. The Save America Act is attached to the defense spending bill and the historic address tomorrow night. Could this be the nuke that destroys the safest and most secure election in history lie? A carefully constructed preview for today's newsletter linked in the first comment below. Now, Seth does have some connections. The president is well aware of him and the work that he's done on election stuff, and he does have connections to people in the administration. So he kind of hints at a few things here, and it sounds like he's aware of the battle that's happening behind the scenes. Storm clouds gather around Thursday night. 4 possible courses of action tied to the president's address. President Trump is set to address the nation tomorrow evening on a matter of grave importance. Leaks and media coverage are all over the place, but they seem to have the range dialed in. Election interference. Be mindful that engagement seekers online are willing to throw out anything to catch your attention. This is about Georgia's senators, or they found the hackers, and similar comments are everywhere. Until we hear from the man himself, all bets are off. Here are some of the bets about things he'll say during the speech to the nation. To my wonderful subscribers here, please understand I have no choice but to keep things at surface level today. Friday, should there be no change in plans and scheduling or plan, a delayed speech, etc., you can expect a full review of exactly what is made known to the public, with no obligation for me to continue to be cagey. So he's kind of hinting here. He's being cagey, so he knows more than he's letting on, but he's also not prepared. He doesn't know everything, and he's not going to fully dig in on a position yet. He's going to present the 4 possibilities. He's one of the most accurate election forecasters in the game, and I started following him. I think I started following him during the 2022 midterms, if I remember right. As such, this article is shorter than most. Still, given the subject matter, it's of vital national importance. President Trump's address tomorrow, assuming it provides evidence of catastrophic breaches, vulnerabilities, or interference pertaining to our election infrastructure, stands to bring out any combination of 4 outcomes. So outcome number 1, nothing burger. He says if the left really thought a nothing burger was coming down the pipe Thursday night, they wouldn't be using up so much damn energy trying to get in front of it or coordinating their messaging across the entire uniparty network of oxygen thieves. He says the odds of this being a nothing burger or rug pull along the lines of digital trading cards are approximately 0%. You can tell just by watching the preemptive defensive tactics adopted by the media and leftists. We've heard from both Georgia senators, who were, in fact, illegitimately elected in 2020 when David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, despite finishing first on November 3rd, 2020, were artificially held below 50% and forced into runoffs, which both Democrats won on January 5, 2021. Whipped dogs yelp the loudest, I'm told. In any case, a nothing burger would leave us where we are today, waiting for the next break in a court or for the Senate to do something. The problem for the Uniparty and their media water carriers is that this scenario is about as likely as the Republican nominee dropping Idaho to Kamala Harris in 2028. So he's telling you the odds that this is going to just be a flop, a nothing burger, is extraordinarily unlikely. They've made way too much of a buildup for it, and the media and Democrats are freaking out about it way too much for it to just be a nothing burger. So option number 2, emergency orders. If the president unveils irrefutable evidence that foreign powers interfered in our elections or has the capacity to interfere in our elections, including databases, infrastructure, and our actual voting systems, this could compel Trump to use national security powers or any agency involved in what is being declassified to act within their statutory authority. My friend Joseph DeMott suggested an interesting course of action that doesn't seem too far off base. And this is what Joseph DeMott said. He said, let's see if my Trump gut still works. I think Trump is going to declare a state of emergency on Thursday, leading into the SAVE Act that was stapled to the defense bill in the House today. Which, by the way, the SAVE Act did pass the House, stapled to the defense bill. Now it goes to the Senate. This feeds conveniently into the third point. And I'll remind you again, the last thing that Lindsey Graham told Trump is that we've got the SAVE Act. So then it passes the House. We'll see where it's at with the Senate. So the third point, save momentum. Yesterday, House Republicans advanced the text of the Save America Act to the Senate as part of defense funding legislation by a vote of 215 to 211. Quoting from The Hill. This is Seth Nevsky. He's a election analyst. This is his Substack. It's captaink.us. Quoting from The Hill, the 215 to 211 vote delivers a key win for Speaker Mike Johnson, who had spent weeks trying to unify his conference as conservative hardliners pressed leadership to take more aggressive action on the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or SAVE America Act, and legislation to codify President Trump's border policies. Back to Seth. There have already been rumblings that the Republican Surrender Caucus may be willing to bite the bullet in honor of Lindsey Graham to get the Save America Act in the rearview mirror. Compelling evidence of our election systems being compromised will provide 100 times more pressure on the Senate to act than we've been able to muster thus far. And that has been a lot of pressure. Like, don't misunderstand here. There has been an extreme amount of pressure on the Senate to act on this. And for the first time, I'm starting to think there may be a possibility that the Save America Act actually does pass. And that could be the reason for this speech being scheduled now. And it'll just depend on whatever he has to bring forth. And then number 4, narrative ruined. Christopher Krebs must be on a boat to some isolated nation, given that he is the guy who gave us the lie of the most secure election in American history to describe the 2020 quasi-election. We've been assured that anyone challenging the 2020 election or any other garbage since, like the Kari Lake race or Spencer Pratt's primary effort, is arguing in bad faith and simply suffers from poor sportsmanship. Since we were all told to believe everything the government had to say about the 2020 election so far, and were persecuted into complying with COVID-19 tyranny based on junk science and magic 8-ball shakes, then I would imagine the government coming out with new documentation regarding the state of our election infrastructure must be unimpeachable, right? Well, it all depends on what kind of proof is made public. But I dare say the narrative of American elections are fraud-free is on the ventilator right now, preparing for the plug pull. Where's life support unplugger? Conclusion. He says, I wish I could say more. Media will spin and find loopholes, but I'd wager the damage has been done for good if it is made public that our elections are susceptible to outside interference. If intrusions are not only possible but documented, we are likely to see unprecedented action taken to provide needed public confidence that we are indeed represented by a government of, by, and for the people. Remember, Trump hasn't given up the fight for free and fair elections, and neither should you. And then he's got this article here, Trump to the Election Assistance Commission. That's what the EAC was. You fired. So the Election Assistance Commission, Trump just fires them. Then Lindsey Graham dies. The last thing he says to Trump is, we've got the Save America Act. And Trump schedules this big speech that is about election security. And Trump himself has been a little cagey about some things. He started to say a couple of things and then been like, we'll get into that later. So, I swear, if he starts his speech tomorrow with any reference to a storm, or if he tweets something tomorrow referencing a storm, I am going to pop my gourd. Superior Beast is definitely something, Burger, with this. There's been a lot of 4chan and other Anon posts alluding to crazy things. Seen some of the plane watchers mention the Doomsday planes are very active. Military bases seem to be training like usual, though, tonight. Interesting, okay. Superior B is my plane watcher source. The speech will be at 8 p.m. Central tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's what Grok told me, at least. So I'm trying to decide if I should do a show earlier in the day and then just watch what happens, or if I should just wait to do the show until the evening and do it during this. I don't know for sure yet exactly what I'm going to do. But stay tuned. Go follow the Telegram speech. Or Telegram speech. Follow the Telegram channel. t.me/kingpilled. Now, speaking of, Superior B is desperately trying to say plain fag. There you go. I said it for you. Speaking of Q, look at this. Superior B, you'll like this one. Did you know President Trump will be speaking tomorrow during the exact time of JFK Jr.'s fatal 7/16/1999 flight to Martha's Vineyard 27 years ago this Thursday? What did they mean by this? What did they mean by scheduling the speech not only on the JFK Jr. anniversary, but literally at the time? He took off at something like 8:45 or 8:50 p.m., and he crashed like 50 minutes later, 45 or 50 minutes later. So Trump will literally be giving his speech during the time that JFK Jr. was flying. I mean, I'll be honest, I've never believed the whole background about JFK Jr. I've just found it entertaining. But God damn it, if there aren't some really crazy coincidences happening right now. Also, for those who missed it before, what is he, the Navy Secretary now? Hung Cow? Our great Hung Cow patriot? He was one of the divers who went down and pulled JFK Jr. out. Pulled his body out of the plane. He is now the Secretary of the Navy. I don't shoot the messenger. I am just presenting to you facts of history. You do with them what you will. Here's another one. Trump posted this picture. July 14th, the White House posted this. President Donald J. Trump and Iraqi Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi. The timestamp when this tweet was posted, 1:37 p.m. Here is Q post number 137. A list of central banks starting with Iraq. What am I supposed to do with this? The White House posts a picture of Trump with the Iraqi prime minister. It just so happens to be at 1:37 p.m. and Q drop 137 starts with Iraq, Central Bank of Iraq. This was posted 11/11/2017. So it's got all of the central banks starting from I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P down to Pakistan. So it's just a list of central banks here. Ultra Maga Dean. See, when you see a Twitter bio that looks like this, you know you just stumbled upon one of our president's strongest soldiers. You just stumbled upon one of the most powerful patriots you will ever see. At 7th Dean, retired, Anon for life, patriotic American, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, American flags, and a frog emoji in the name. Yeah, you only thought you trusted enough. I aspire to trust at the level of guys like Ultra Maga Dean. He says, alert, revaluation of the Iraqi dinar and RV may be incoming. He goes through copies the content from it. He says, I don't believe this is just a coincidence by the White House using the timestamp of 137. They're letting us know that President Trump is making a deal with Iraq and the Central Bank of Iraq to begin the revaluation of the dinar. A lot of us have been waiting for a long time for the revaluation, and this may be the sign that we've all been waiting for. Is it? No idea. No idea whatsoever. I will note that on the original Q post under Libya, Central Bank of Libya, it said their most recent conquest. Yes, Q back in 2017 was trying to focus people's attention on the offshore network of central banks. Why was that, you might ask? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I asked Grok, I said, does any of that list of banks stand out from the rest in any category of analysis? I'm thinking particularly from the perspective of someone who sees the deep state as a consortium of interest orbiting around the city of London, with the U.S. occupied by financialist interests trying to prevent American economic independence vis-a-vis the Hamiltonian system of political economy. This is what Grok said. Yes, a few entries in that Q Drop 137 list can be highlighted in specific analytical categories, though the list itself is largely an alphabetical catalog of central banks or monetary authorities, roughly the I to P countries, rather than a curated selection of outliers. The broader Q Drops 135 to 138 frame a long series of such banks as part of a Rothschild-owned and controlled network, with the U.S. Federal Reserve and Bank of England explicitly included in the earlier drop. This aligns with the interpretive lens you described, global financial interests centered on or orbiting the City of London, exerting influence that prioritizes debt-based internationalist systems over national sovereign development, Hamiltonian emphasis on productive credit, tariffs, infrastructure, and economic independence. Sometimes when I ask Grok questions, I'll give it prompts, but I'll kind of, with this sort of stuff, I'll keep it sort of vague or even a little sloppy or not exactly, I won't ask the question exactly the right way, just to kind of see if it'll connect things that in the right way, or it'll bring up something else. So I'll kind of intentionally try to mislead it or ask a sloppy question to see what it'll do with it. So the list is systematic or alphabetical and not inherently anomalous. Most entries are standard state or public central banks or monetary authorities with conventional mandates. Ownership structures vary, but are overwhelmingly governmental or public law entities in the modern era. Here are the more notable ones across neutral and interpretive lenses. The financial hub and disproportionate international role would be Luxembourg and the Netherlands. Luxembourg's central bank stands out sharply. Despite Luxembourg's tiny size and population, it ranks as a top-tier global financial center, often 6th worldwide and 3rd in Europe in recent indices, excelling in cross-border funds, investment vehicles, corporate banking, and as an EU hub for international capital. Its financial sector activity far exceeds what its domestic economy would suggest. Thank you for the kicks, Pale Morning Dude. Hold on. He's going to get out of control. Actually. The kick connection is not working, so it didn't even add it at all. let me just do that manually. And then let me just reset the connection here real quick. And refresh. There we go. Okay. Okay, the Netherlands has deep historical roots in modern finance, early joint stock companies. Amsterdam is a historic trading and financial powerhouse and remains a significant European player. In a City of London orbit framework, these function as efficient nodes for global capital flows, offshore elements, and international finance, potentially facilitating the very debt and speculation dynamics contrasted with Hamiltonian national productive focus. And then Libya, this one is explicitly flagged in the Q-text with the parenthetical, their most recent conquest. It stands out in the source material itself. In conspiracy-oriented analyses, including some tied to the 2011 NATO intervention, this ties into narratives around Muammar Gaddafi's reported interest in a gold-backed Pan-African currency, or dinar, as an alternative to existing systems. Evidence for a fully formed eminent gold dinar plot as a primary trigger is thin and largely unverified in mainstream sourcing, but the note in the historical gold reserve issues post-2011 make it conspicuous in that interpretive tradition. I think it's also kind of interesting how it does, especially compared to like ChatGPT, or especially early on, when the large language models were much more, I don't know, preachy and longhousey. I've noticed that it's not nearly so now. So it's like, yeah, the evidence of that as a primary trigger is thin and largely unverified in mainstream sources, but this does stand out in that interpretive tradition. It's a little more hands-off. Several countries in the list have past connections to the British Empire or Commonwealth. And then other notable mentions would be the Bank of Japan, Bank of Israel. It says, geopolitically prominent with a developed financial and tech sector, some interpretive narratives, not mainstream, link it via historical Rothschild family involvement in early 20th century Zionist financing and related banking history. And then Ireland. So the broader context claims that the Rothschild family directly owns or controls the majority of the world's central banks are long-standing conspiracy theories, frequently debunked as lacking evidence and sometimes carrying anti-Semitic undertones. So there you get the little slap on the wrist. The Rothschilds were highly influential 19th century merchant and international bankers who financed governments, wars, and infrastructure across Europe. Their relative power diminished with the rise of joint stock banks, nationalized or independent central banks, and modern regulatory structures in the 20th century. Okay, thank you, Grok. Today's central banks are generally public institutions pursuing statutory mandates. The City of London retains a premier global financial district with significant reach in law, forex, derivatives, and offshore finance, competing with New York and others. Interpretations of it as the core of a unified consortium or deep state orchestrating global events are interpretive frameworks popular in certain sovereigntist, populist, or heterodox economic circles. So again, it's like, yeah, those are interpretive frameworks. It's not saying it's wrong. This is not verified. It's just like, yeah, it's an interpretive framework. They contrast this with Hamiltonian American system principles, national bank and credit directed toward domestic industry and infrastructure, and protective policies for independence. So no single bank dramatically breaks the pattern as an exception, proving independence. The source which presents them collectively, yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, really, it's just that original post is just a alphabetical here, starting with Iraq. So it would make sense that I don't think there would necessarily be anything that would stand out from this unless you want to get real schizo. But this connection, posting a picture with the Iraqi prime minister at 1:37, this is not an accident. This was done intentionally. Is it just because they're just trying to fuck with people? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know why they would be doing that. I don't know what the purpose of that would be. What does it gain them? So anyways, now, here's the article about the Viceroy of Venezuela, Otto von Bismarcko. Marco Grande, some call him. Delcy sends selfies to Marco Rubio and runs every decision by him, including her social media posts, cabinet appointments, and TV appearances. In return, he sends her crates of cash and runs the Venezuelan government from Washington, a 21st century colony. How Marco Rubio is running Venezuela from afar. The Secretary of State effectively controls Venezuela's finances, the distribution of its natural resources, and its government. His grip on the country is a vivid manifestation of American power in the Trump era. This was written by Tyler Pager and Anatoly Kermenev, reporting from Caracas. Good night, Superior B. President Trump was sitting in the Oval Office earlier this year with Secretary of State Marco Rubio when an idea came to him. Maybe he should dispatch Mr. Rubio permanently to Caracas, the Venezuelan capital, where U.S. commandos had carried out the proudest foreign policy achievement of Mr. Trump's second term, the capture of Nicolas Maduro, the country's president. Mr. Rubio could be the next leader of Venezuela, Mr. Trump suggested. And while the president's aides say he was joking, and that he frequently teases Mr. Rubio about an overseas assignment, the fact is that Mr. Rubio does not need to move to Caracas. He already runs Venezuela from Washington. In the 6 months since U.S. forces blew open Mr. Maduro's bedroom door and snatched him in the dead of night, it wasn't the only thing they blew open, Mr. Rubio has become the de facto Viceroy of Venezuela, holding sway over a sovereign nation in a way that no American official has since L. Paul Bremer III arrived in Baghdad in 2003 to run U.S.-occupied Iraq. Mr. Rubio now effectively controls Venezuela's finances, the distribution of its natural resources and its government, according to interviews with more than a dozen officials and people close to both governments in Washington and Caracas, who provided details about his involvement in steering the country's policies. Many spoke on condition of anonymity to describe private interactions and internal discussions. While he has not visited Venezuela in person since the U.S. took over, the Secretary of State is deeply involved in the country's day-to-day operations, keeping in close contact with Delcy Rodriguez, who was Mr. Maduro's vice president and now leads her country on an acting basis with the imprimatur of the United States. The two exchanged messages in Spanish on WhatsApp, trading gossip, birthday greetings, and selfies. Trying to get our boy Marco in trouble with Mrs. Rubio. Despite the banter, the relationship between Mr. Rubio and Mrs. Rodriguez is far from a partnership. It is a manifestation of Trump-era American power, in which the winner takes all, regardless of sovereignty and international law.
Your defeat will be certain, your demise will be final, and your downfall will be total and complete.
The Venezuelan government did not respond to a request for comment. The Trump administration did not address detailed questions about Mr. Rubio's authority in Venezuela. Mr. Rubio has downplayed his role and largely avoids discussing his work. He declined multiple requests for an interview. Tommy Pigott, a State Department spokesman, said in a statement that, quote, with renewed cooperation and sound economic stewardship, Venezuela can reemerge as a stable, prosperous partner whose citizens benefit from its vast natural wealth and strengthened ties with the United States. The direct control over Venezuela's public revenues in particular distinguishes Washington's influence there from most other countries beholden to its military and financial might. The U.S. Treasury receives the revenue from most of Venezuela's exports, then disperses it to Venezuela through the country's banking system, a relationship akin to parents handing out allowances to children. Mr. Rubio and his team set the conditions on what that money can be spent on and by whom. This system has allowed Mr. Rubio to stop Venezuela's most egregious corruption schemes. And it brings some benefits to the Venezuelan government, which uses the effective protection of the U.S. Treasury to receive revenues without being hounded by the numerous creditors seeking repayment of billions in unpaid debt. I'd like to know more about these creditors seeking repayment of billions in unpaid debt. What were the terms of that debt? Who are these creditors? You're saying that Venezuela is taking in a bunch of revenues, but they're being funneled through Scott Bessent's purview, and there's a bunch of creditors who are banging down the doors of Venezuela wanting billions of dollars. But the arrangement has also given Mr. Rubio immense leverage over Ms. Rodriguez, who depends on the money to pay workers and prop up the national currency. He also oversees the application of U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, deciding who gets to do business in the country and how. He has worked to reshape the oil sector and boosted the access of U.S. companies. For her part, Ms. Rodriguez runs important government appointments by him, such as the Minister of Defense. Since 2 earthquakes struck Venezuela last month, Mr. Rubio has sought to bolster the country's interim government. The United States has sent 900 military personnel to Venezuela, committed nearly $400 million in aid, and delivered crates of cash to the Venezuelan government. The earthquakes have complicated Mr. Rubio's stated mission to return Venezuela to democracy. It's a setback in that regard, Mr. Rubio acknowledged last month. But the country's ability to recover is critical to Mr. Trump's ultimate goal, securing Venezuelan oil for U.S. interests. The arrangement is deeply unusual, unfolding 80 years after the United States relinquished its last sizable foreign formal colony, the Philippines. But Mr. Trump has made clear he wants to return to an era of American expansionism, musing about taking control of Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Canal. He has found the most success in Venezuela, but there are risks. Mr. Trump's critics accuse the United States of siphoning Venezuela's resources and propping up an authoritarian government by leaving Mr. Maduro's henchmen largely in place. Who are those critics? What's the Venn diagram between Mr. Trump's critics accusing the United States of siphoning Venezuela's resources and propping up an authoritarian government, and where was it here? Back up here. The numerous creditors seeking repayment of billions of dollars in unpaid debt. What's the Venn diagram between those two categories of people? I suspect it's basically a circle. The arrangement also entangles the United States in the fortunes of a deeply unpopular, unelected regime facing increasingly restless clamor for political change. Let them clamor. Secretary Rubio said that we are not at war with Venezuela. Representative Sean Casten, Democrat of Illinois, said to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent during a congressional hearing in February. What authority, Mr. Casten asked, did the United States have to control Venezuelan assets? The authority is called B-2 bombers. And correct, we are not at war with Venezuela because we kidnapped the president. And they can't do shit about it. Mr. Bessent told Mr. Casten that he would get back to him. Yeah, let me get right on that. A Treasury Department official said that the department responded to Mr. Casten's request in April. Mr. Rubio's hard-nosed realpolitik in Venezuela is a sharp departure for a man who spent his career fashioning himself as a champion for democracy in Latin America. He has said his goal is an eventual democratic transition. The outcome of the Venezuela foray could shape Mr. Rubio's political future as Mr. Trump considers his successor. Yeah, there's a number of different ways in which Mr. Rubio has, departed from his old ways. In the early hours of January 3, shortly after Mr. Maduro was captured, Mr. Rubio reached Ms. Rodriguez by phone. Speaking in Spanish, Mr. Rubio told her that she had a choice between working with the United States or witnessing a broader attack targeting Venezuela's infrastructure, military bases, and senior officials. What does that sound like? You see some parallels here? So they go in, take out the head of state, go to the next in line and say, hey, you can work with us, and here are our terms, and you will be the one who rules now. Or you can witness a broader attack targeting infrastructure, military bases, and senior officials. After some negotiation, Ms. Rodriguez agreed. What a smart decision. She told Mr. Rubio that, quote, she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again, according to Mr. Trump. So true, Mr. President. The president said the United States would, quote, run the country until there was a, quote, safe, proper, and judicious transition of power. Days later, Mr. Trump told the New York Times in an interview that he expected the United States to run Venezuela for years. Oh, God. Appreciate him while we have him, guys. Appreciate him while we have him. Yeah, Zoomer Dylan, I love my president. I love him so much. I forgot to mention earlier, RIP to England. It turns out that it, in fact, is not coming home. And my first thought when the game ended was, sorry, old world fags. The new world is here now. Western Hemisphere dominance. We'll have another opportunity on Sunday to test that theory. Argentina versus Spain. Oh man, it is going to be a game for the ages. Are we going to get an MLS player winning the World Cup, winning the Golden Boot, an MLS Ballon d'Or winner? Could it happen? It's lining up. It'll be beautiful. At the center of the fulcrum is Mr. Rubio, dubbed by other officials as Viceroy, the title given to the powerful governors who ruled the Spanish Empire until Venezuela and most of its other provinces rebelled and won independence in the early 19th century. So other officials are straight up calling him Viceroy. As Mrs. Rodriguez started to set up her government, Mr. Rubio weighed in on key personnel decisions and encouraged her to purge Mr. Maduro's family and business partners. She followed through. Most Venezuelans expressed relief at Mr. Maduro's downfall, only to watch in disbelief as the Trump administration struck an alliance with most of his chief enforcers. Inflation has fallen but remains the world's highest, and the country's currency keeps losing value. You mean that they haven't rescued Venezuela's currency in 6 months? Inflation has fallen, so things are getting better, but it's still bad. Fuck these people, man. Millions are clamoring for new elections, putting pressure on Mr. Rubio to move beyond economic deals and bring political change. You're seeing how the sausage is made here. Creditors not getting their money, banging down the doors, demanding their billions of dollars in repayments, which they cannot access because that money is flowing through the Treasury. And Scott Bessent has not authorized them to receive payment for their debts. And then suddenly you get millions clamoring for elections. Before the earthquakes, Ms. Rodriguez had been asking Mr. Rubio for more financial autonomy and the scrapping of economic sanctions to reduce the domestic pressure on her government. Mr. Rubio has been sympathetic to her arguments, but the U.S. government has not released control. Mr. Rubio's work with Ms. Rodriguez has provoked grumbling among some career U.S. diplomats, Venezuelan Americans, and Mr. Trump's allies, who bristle at the idea that Mr. Maduro's chief lieutenant is in power. This is the Miraflores Palace, where U.S. and Venezuelan officials signed an energy deal in April. Billions even must vote! Billions must vote! Nevsky says, Venezuela's inflation is worse than Zimbabwe's. Looks like we got to reconquer Zimbabwe. Rhodesia will return! Mr. Rubio and other officials have dismissed those concerns, pointing to how Ms. Rodriguez has followed nearly every order the administration has made, especially those related to the country's finances. Venezuela sells much of its oil through two oil trading companies, Trafigura and Vitol, in an arrangement set up by the Trump administration. Mr. Rubio has largely eclipsed Chris Wright, the energy secretary, in opening up Venezuela's oil industry to foreign investment, the cornerstone of Mr. Trump's vision for the country. He has prioritized the arrival of new American companies at the expense of European oil producers who are already working in the country. Let me read that one more time. Mr. Rubio has prioritized the arrival of new American companies at the expense of European oil producers who were already working in the country. Are you seeing the picture come together here? You got these billions in unpaid debts and very disgruntled creditors. So then suddenly millions must vote, and the New York Times is writing about this. While European oil producers are getting frozen out in favor of new American companies. Yeah, reminder, Eurofags, the Western Hemisphere is ours. Ben Diederich, a spokesman for Mr. Wright, said the secretary has worked closely with Mr. Rubio and has spoken regularly with energy industry leaders and Ms. Rodriguez. I like how they say that they sort of frame this as like the Secretary of State is playing a larger role in the oil industry in a foreign country than the energy secretary is. Like, big shock. Washington's grip on Venezuela's economy extends beyond the oil revenues. Mr. Rubio's team drafts the licenses that provide companies who want to do business in Venezuela with exemptions from sanctions. Mr. Rubio has warned Ms. Rodriguez's government to abstain from business with U.S. adversaries. Following Mr. Maduro's downfall, for example, Venezuela's state oil company has quietly taken over the operations of the oil projects that it co-owns with Russia's state-run Rosneft. Rosneft did not respond to requests for comment. That's an interesting little almost like a buried lead in here. The Trump administration has also successfully pressured Ms. Rodriguez to turn over Venezuelans who have crossed the Justice Department. At the behest of the United States, Ms. Rodriguez's government in February detained Alex Saab, the billionaire friend and business partner of Mr. Maduro, and approved his extradition to the United States after stripping him of his Venezuelan passport. Dude, he got arrested, passport stripped, and shipped to the United States. Some officials believe the Justice Department wants to use Mr. Saab to strengthen the case against Mr. Maduro, who has been charged with various drug trafficking crimes. And in June, the Rodriguez government helped the United States kill a criminal boss with long-standing ties to Venezuelan officials, according to several people familiar with the operation. U.S. forces used the intelligence provided by Ms. Rodriguez officials to kill Nino Guerrero, one of the leaders of the gang Tren de Aragua, in a missile strike in a remote area of southern Venezuela. It was the first military collaboration between the two countries in decades. The Venezuelan government later recovered the gang leader's body and passed it to the United States. This is metal as hell, man. It's just like straight up stating what everyone had been basically suspecting, that the Venezuelan government is in place under Delcy Rodriguez because she is effectively the puppet being wielded by Marco Rubio to go around and take out rival power centers within the country. You think that this game plan is only being implemented in Venezuela? The Trump administration has accused Tren de Aragua of working with Mr. Maduro to flood the United States with drugs and illegal migrants, even though U.S. intelligence agencies last year assessed that Mr. Maduro did not control the gang. The Trump administration even exerts control over Ms. Rodriguez's public appearances and statements. In May, Mr. Rubio announced that Ms. Rodriguez would travel to India before the Venezuelan government mentioned it, surprising Venezuelan officials and foreign diplomats. When the Fox News anchor Brett Baer contacted Ms. Rodriguez about participating in an interview, she told him that Mr. Trump would have to approve. Mr. Trump loved that Ms. Rodriguez was deferring to him and has repeatedly recounted the story to others when they ask about her, according to multiple people familiar with his comments. You see how things work out for the people who just bend the knee? When the United States attacked Iran, Ivan Gil, Venezuela's foreign minister, issued a soft condemnation of the aggression against Venezuela's longtime ally. The Trump administration communicated to Ms. Rodriguez that the post should be taken down and warned her not to publicly support its adversaries again. Mr. Gil deleted the post hours after posting it. In effect, it was an admission that Venezuela no longer sets its foreign policy. Mr. Gil did not respond to a request for comment. Reassurance from Trump. Yeah, this is how you do a puppet state. Yeah. She is Trump Marco's bitch. Nevsky says Zimbabwe's inflation hit 79.6 billion % in 2008, but has been at a historic low the last 6 months at only 4.7%. 79 billion %? How's that even possible? 79 billion % inflation. Like, what? Well, how's that any different from... it's like the currency is less valuable than toilet paper. Jeff Garrick over on YouTube says, Matt Dines was just talking about the Venezuelan debt restructuring on Tommy's podcast with Luongo and Vince Lanci yesterday. Yeah, I need to go back and listen to that again. I listened to it yesterday, but I was distracted the whole time. They just... there was some good jokes in it, and it ended right when I felt like it was just getting started. So I need to go back and listen to that. Mr. Rubio was asleep in Bahrain last month when he was awakened by a call from the White House Situation Room. 2 massive earthquakes had hit Venezuela, and early images were grim. Entire neighborhoods were flattened, and scores of people were missing. Shortly after, Mr. Rubio spoke to Ms. Rodriguez, promising the full assistance of the United States. American rescue teams were on the ground 2 days later. Mr. Rubio has described the administration's plans for Venezuela in 3 phases: recover the economy, stabilize the country, and transition it to democracy. Before the earthquakes, U.S. officials said they were in the second phase, working to open up Venezuela to international investment. To further that goal, senior Trump administration officials have traveled to Venezuela to meet their counterparts and strike new energy and mining deals. The resulting announcements, however, have mostly been optimistic outlines of potential investments. In March, Doug Burgum, the Interior Secretary, visited Venezuela and met with Ms. Rodriguez at the presidential palace. During the visit, Mr. Rubio texted her to ask how the meeting was going. Ms. Rodriguez said it was going well and sent a selfie with Mr. Burgum. But the meeting was overshadowed by damaging news. Reuters reported that day that the Justice Department was quietly building a legal case against Ms. Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez's administration was shocked and sought clarification from the White House. To allay Ms. Rodriguez's concerns, Todd Blanche, then the Deputy Attorney General, called the report completely false. But the Venezuelan government sought further assurances. So the next day, Mr. Rubio texted Ms. Rodriguez the link to a social media post from the U.S. president. Delcy Rodriguez, who is the president of Venezuela, is doing a great job and working with U.S. representatives very well, Mr. Trump wrote. Ms. Rodriguez was pleased and wanted to thank Trump with a post of her own. But first, she shared the draft with Mr. Rubio. She posted it after receiving his approval. You see how it all works? She bends the knee, and because she's bent the knee, when there's a big earthquake that devastates the country, she has the Secretary of State on speed dial. She can call the U.S. Secretary of State, and he sends U.S. aid post-haste. But then also, you better keep behaving, because if you don't keep behaving, we'll let the dogs loose on you. No, don't worry. You heard about that? No, sorry. That's not real. Look, the big guy's gonna give you your props. The big guy's happy with you. Better make sure the big guy stays happy with you, so he keeps giving you your props. So we can keep the dogs chained up. We're not going to unleash him on you. This is just good old-fashioned power politics, man. Before Mr. Maduro's capture, U.S. prosecutors have been looking into many Venezuelan officials, including Ms. Rodriguez, though it is unclear if those efforts have revealed evidence of crimes. The Associated Press reported in May that the Trump administration told prosecutors to stop investigating Ms. Rodriguez. The success of the efforts to bring stability to Venezuela, the second phase of Mr. Rubio's plan, largely hinges on foreign investment. But investors are cautious. The oil sector is degraded and corrupt, and Ms. Rodriguez's grip on power is uncertain. The earthquakes have delayed the negotiations for new oil contracts. Mr. Trump appears unworried. He has repeatedly suggested that Venezuela could become the 51st state. Now, of course, we could not get to an article on Venezuela from the New York Times without a mention of Maria Corina Machado. Who may lead the country on a more permanent basis is still deeply uncertain. Maria Corina Machado, the exiled opposition leader, remains the country's most popular politician. That is a unsubstantiated claim. But she has sworn enemies among Venezuela's security and military officials, leading Mr. Rubio to bypass her and settle on Ms. Rodriguez as the country's handpicked leader. Once a staunch supporter of Ms. Machado, Mr. Rubio has distanced himself from her in recent months. The cooling relationship between the Trump administration and Ms. Machado became an open breach after the earthquakes. U.S. officials have refused to help her return to Venezuela out of fear of stoking unrest. So she's trying to capitalize on the opportunity for the people she works for to leverage her way back in, and they're like, no, that's not happening. Spudrucker says, Rodriguez wants her personal space to be a yoink-free zone. That's a good way, yeah. She's trying to preemptively avoid yoinking. The time frame for the final phase of Mr. Rubio's Venezuela plan, the free elections, remains undefined. When the Times asked Ms. Rodriguez in May when she would hold elections, she said, I don't know, sometime. Political analysts say that Ms. Rodriguez may be trying to run out the clock on the Trump presidency, hoping that the pressure to hold the vote would fade under his successor. For now, the question of when an election would be held is not in her hands. It is in Mr. Rubio's. You can kind of see what they're hinting at here. The pressure to hold the vote would fade under his successor. But Mr. Rubio currently has that role. Might he have that role as Trump's successor? Here's Glenn Beck's speculation on that matter.
I think we're in the game of The Apprentice. I really do. I think that's what we're watching, a real-life apprentice. There are memes that go around, and memes are funny because, they're mostly true, okay? And the memes that go around are that Rubio is running everything. You've seen the meme. There he is, the meme of him on the couch as Maduro. There he is as the mullah of Iran. I mean, because he has all these jobs, right? Secretary of State, sworn in January 21st, 2025. Then he was made the acting administrator of USAID in February. There's 2 jobs. Then acting archivist of the United States in February. Then acting national security advisor on the 1st of May. Mike Waltz was moved to the UN. So that's 4 offices. For a stretch there, he held all 4 jobs at the same time. One man, 4 hats.
Average Hispanic man in the United States.
Okay. And that's just the titles. Because underneath all of those titles, he's been handed the Venezuela transition after Maduro. He's been in the room and sometimes at the head of the table on Russia and Ukraine. He also co-led the Iran briefings on the Hill. If there's a fire on the planet, I'm not sure if Marco does it. There's another forest fire out west. I'm not sure if he's like, Marco, you got to go out and hold the hose. Not sure.
Or maybe you have to stay here and hold my hose.
The easy read in this, for me, is Trump doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't trust anybody. He trusts people who can get the job done. Everybody in his organization, they're always double tasked. Nobody ever in his organization ever says, that's not my job. So the cynical reach here is that you would say, well, he just doesn't have a lot of good people around him. But that's not true. Let me give you another perspective, because it keeps coming to me. I talked to, I don't remember which one of the Trump sons years ago, and we were talking, I was like, what was it like to grow up with Donald Trump as your dad? And he said, Dad had a rule.
This is part of the reason I wanted to play this clip, was for this particular anecdote that he relates here.
What was it like to grow up with Donald Trump as your dad? And he said, Dad had a rule. Laid it down when we were kids. If you ever want to take over this business, you have to know every single job that is done. Everything. You have to know, because if you not have a briefing on it, you have to do it. Start at the bottom, sweep the floors, learn the pipe fitting, learn concrete pouring, all of it. Because if you don't...
My president is an expert in pipe fitting, by the way.
Know what everybody does, people are going to be able to BS you, okay? And I think that's what happened to Donald Trump in the first term. He was a little BS'd by people because he didn't know exactly. He knows it now. So Marco Rubio, in 18 months, has run American diplomacy, foreign aid, national security apparatus, our archives. He has been negotiating wars, negotiating peace treaties, I should say. He's done all of it. He's done all of it. Tell me that's not damn near every job in the building. I mean, he's the keeper of the nation's records, the man who holds the paper, diplomacy, money, war, memory, all of it. Trump has said out loud more than once. He told me when he was running in 2024, I said, can you get this done in 4 years? He said, 4? I've got 2. I'm a lame duck after 2 years. He said, so I got to get all of the heavy lifting done in the first 2 years, and then we need 2 more terms. We need 12 years, Glenn. If you really want to kill this, you have to have 3 terms. So he's serving the first one, which means somewhere in the back.
We need 12 terms to get done everything that we want to get done. Does this sound like a guy who's just trying to like sort of scrape by and like just preserve his legacy and like get some token thing so he can get his face up on Mount Rushmore or whatever? Does that sound like that sort of a guy? And also the note about his kids and his approach to business was, you need to be on the ground. You need to be aware of everything. You need to be the one who is able to manage all of the relationships. You need to know when someone's trying to screw you over, because you know what you're talking about. This is the approach to business that he's taken his entire life. It's so absurd to me that people still persist with this perception of him as being some sort of like he's not that bright, or is just kind of like he gets lucky and just keeps getting lucky, but he doesn't really know what he's doing, or he's in over his head, or he needs my advice. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't understand geopolitics as well as me. Mr. President, you need to follow me on X, where I'll tell you how everything works. I have a podcast. And yet this is the way that he's approached business his entire life. And he's got the receipts to prove it.
You have to have 3 terms. So he's serving the first one, which means somewhere in the back of his mind is the question, who is going to succeed? Who's going to succeed me? Who's going to be the guy who steps in and can do 8 terms that gets it?
8 years.
So here's my question to you. Is Marco Rubio doing what Donald Trump's sons have done? Is Donald Trump schooling Marco Rubio, whether he says it out loud, whether he even knows it himself? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, 8 terms. Mr. President, we need 8 terms. Line it up now. Carve it into granite. Now, obviously, my sympathies are with JD, and I do believe that JD is 1A. But I also am not naive enough to say that Marco isn't 1B. And frankly, it would be prudent to have 2 successors lined up and prepared. And I think both of them have been getting this sort of work. JD in the stuff with Iran and with the fraud. Those have been like his 2 big initiatives that he's been focused on, along with a bunch of other things. And he's probably on a day-to-day basis closer to the president. And then Rubio doing all of these other things. They're basically lining them both up to where either one of them is an option. Both of them are wholly subsumed into the Trump world. And then if you put the 2 of them together onto a ticket, you've got a master ticket. And then it frankly doesn't matter as much who's at the top and who's at the bottom of the ticket. All right, now, here's this article. Christopher Caldwell, inside Donald Trump's ruthless return. Please do tip your streamer, tips.kingpill.com. We have already hit the goal, so we will be doing a drawing here at the end of the stream. So make sure you also go over to forum.kingpill.com and sign up so that you will be considered for the drawing. Once again, please do continue to tip your streamer, tips.kingpill.com, and I will keep reading. The hapless, almost slapstick first Trump administration was replaced by the most skilled, ruthless team of political operatives since the first term of Franklin Roosevelt. How did it happen? 3 weeks ago, conventional wisdom held that readers were bored by books about Donald Trump. What more was there to say about the man who has dominated American public life for a decade? Then Maggot Hagerman, as Trump calls her, and Jonathan Swan published Regime Change. Written by 2 reporters with unrivaled access to the White House.
Welcome to the suck, homos!
Thank you, Bobby Ballbecks. The book sold more than 300,000 copies in its first week, making it the fastest-selling nonfiction hardcover of the year so far. All bullshit numbers. It argues that Trump's return to office marks a fundamental transformation of the presidency defined by an unprecedented expansion of executive power. Is that a convincing argument? We asked the conservative writer Christopher Caldwell to read the book and let us know what he thought. One of the sharpest observers of the rise of Trump and the big picture trends that brought him to power, Caldwell offers his view not just of regime change, but of the meaning of Trump's second term in today's big read. This is at thefp.com. Essentially, I won every fucking time, Donald Trump told Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan in March in a profanity-laced valedictory interview for their new book, Regime Change. And I'm tired of winning and winning and winning and just getting bad fucking press. So true, Mr. President. So true. You've delivered so much to us, and you just keep getting bad fucking press. It's a shame. A national atrocity. What citizen of any nation would wish such a vulgarian at its head? And yet, who can doubt that he's right, at least sometimes? This is the paradox. Understanding the crudest man ever to occupy the White House requires delicacy. The crudest man to ever occupy the White House. You had LBJ literally dropping his hog on the table. But Trump is the crudest man ever to occupy the White House. If deep access to White House secrets has made this book a bestseller since its June release, what has turned it into a bestseller of warehouse-emptying proportions is its nuance. Nuance has lately been in short supply. The president has suffered a humiliating defeat in a Middle Eastern war he launched against the wiser counsel of most of his advisors. The middle class is discontented, and the clamor for economic redistribution is louder than it has been since the 1930s. Many of Trump's detractors claim to have told us so. Elect a barbarian and you'll get a barbarian. Simple as that. What did you expect? But this is wrong. The more closely one observed Trump's first term, the more surprised one would have been by his second. Trump Phase 1 was a joke. The 2020 press conference that his team called at the Four Seasons in Philadelphia, thinking they were booking a 5-star hotel and winded up instead at a landscaping company next to a pornography emporium, is the perfect symbol of it. Trump was incurious. He knew as little about the workings of Washington on the day he left office as he did on the day he arrived. No one around him ever figured out how to recruit even a handful of people who could master the basics of the executive branch. A lot of what he did worked. There was bold diplomacy in the Middle East, an outstanding economy for lower earners until COVID came, and thereafter an impressive emergency program to develop a vaccine. But even the triumphs were shambolic. In the end, Trump, like Gatsby and Perigorio, left town abandoned by everyone. As Haberman and Swan point out, no elected Republican of any stature was present at Joint Base Andrews to see him off. It's so fascinating getting a look into the mind of conservative writer Christopher Caldwell. As if, look at I guess it's not technically passive voice, but it's like, all this, he just didn't know what he was doing, and it was totally incompetent, and just couldn't get anything done. As if there wasn't unprecedented levels of corruption and opposition and just straight up crime and fraud and abuse of every single government apparatus imaginable to try to stop him at every turn, spying on him, arresting people who were close to him. And then somehow he's able to accomplish bold diplomacy in the Middle East, an outstanding economy for lower earners, and an impressive emergency program to develop a vaccine. So he had no idea how anything worked. It was completely terrible and awful and shambolic. And this was just like everyone standing around like, oh, how is this happening? He doesn't know what he's doing. Everyone's just like, oh, I wish Trump knew what he was doing. And it wasn't all of Washington coordinating against him. And so somehow he had no idea what, even in this guy's frame, he had no idea what he was doing. He was surrounded by incompetent people and yet was able to engineer an outstanding economy for lower earners and an impressive emergency program to develop a vaccine. These are the dumbest people alive. Actually, they're the second dumbest. The retard right panicking crew are even dumber. If Trump 1 was an error, Trump 2 is a terror. That's a banger. Trump 2 is a terror. My president is terrorizing him.
White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up.
I'm gonna come.
Let's go. Come on. Get in. Let's go. Your defeat will be certain. Your demise will be final. And your downfall will be total and complete.
My president is a terrorist to shit libs. My president, the shit lib terrorist. The hapless, almost slapstick first Trump administration, more embarrassing than threatening, was replaced after the 4-year Biden interregnum by the most skilled and ruthless team of political operatives since the first term of Franklin Roosevelt. You see the revisionism here now. The first Trump administration, Christopher Caldwell tells us, wasn't threatening. It was just embarrassing. Meanwhile, we spent 4 years and 4 years hence hearing every single day about how Donald Trump was literally worse than Hitler. This is the regime change the authors are trying to explain. Political machines built out of solemn promises and long-standing obligations are hard to re-engineer. Figuring out how this one got revamped involves looking behind the scenes at Trump's entourage. The sheer mass of intimate detail Haberman and Swan have managed to gather is impressive. In the administration's early days, Elon Musk used to spend nights in a sleeping bag on the floor of the Eisenhower Executive Office building. One Defense Department aide gathered classified videos of suspected terrorists being blown away by missiles and drones, and kept them queued up to show to War Secretary Pete Hegseth on his frequent visits down the hall. We meet an ever-present aide with the Trollopian name of Natalie Harp, this fucking faggot. You have any idea what Natalie Harp has been through in her life? Calls her a Trollopian name. It's her fucking name! Go look up Natalie Harp and what happened in her life. Would you the show drop out for a minute? Show dropped for 10 seconds or so, but we're back. Okay. Oh, yeah, I see. It says there's 0 people watching on Kick right now. Probably didn't affect YouTube. Hugh Janus over on YouTube says Rubio got that BDE. Okay, I'm going to go back just a little bit here. In the administration's early days, Elon Musk used to spend nights in a sleeping bag on the floor of the Eisenhower Executive Office building. One War Department aide gathered classified videos of suspected terrorists being blown away by missiles and drones and kept them queued up to show to War Secretary Pete Hegseth on his frequent visits down the hall. We meet an ever-present aide with the Trollopian name of Natalie Harp, who is always ready with a printout or a compliment and handles the president's Truth Social traffic. She's the when you've seen the memes of Trump dictating social media posts and the hot blonde sitting there typing out his posts, that's Natalie Harp. You should go look at her story. We learned things that cut against our understanding of Trump himself. He is a reader, or at least he likes information presented to him in printed form. What? Wait a second, I thought he watches the Gorilla Channel. His irregular advisor, Laura Loomer, takes care to have her presentations to him professionally printed and bound. And however piggish his comportment at times, he can surprise people with his humanity and even kindness. You've got an elegant voice, he told Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. The absolute audacity of this greasy faggot to call Natalie Harp Trollopian and then turn around and be like, however piggish his comportment at times. But the heart of this book is in the nitty-gritty of governing, the tactics through which a new political weaponry was forged. Trump's entourage has discovered the hidden levers of administrative power that generally lie dormant under Republican presidencies. Gee, I wonder why that is. Kind of giving away the game here, aren't you? The hidden levers of administrative power that generally lie dormant under Republican presidencies. There's that passive voice for you. During COVID, for example, his senior policy advisor Stephen Miller discovered that a law called Title 42 could be used to close the Mexican border. Miller's in the chat. The groundwork for Musk's access to government databases while running the Department of Government Efficiency was laid by the U.S. Digital Service, set up in 2014 to manage the Obamacare website. You can do a lot if you know where to look. By the way, it is no longer called the U.S. Digital Service. It is permanently now renamed the U.S. Doge Service. The administration has come to understand that it can use these tricks to vindictive ends, too. After Trump despaired of getting Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell to lower interest rates through threats, his budget director Russell Vought informed him of something called the National Capital Planning Commission. Trump stacked it with administration planners who then lodged a complaint against Powell's supervision of a Fed building renovation. And Bill Pulte of the Federal Housing Finance Agency developed what would become his trademark system of political harassment, scouring the records at his agency for political adversaries who, in violation of federal law, listed more than one property as a primary residence to gain more favorable mortgage terms. So, his trademark system of political harassment, which is enforcing federal law against people who violated federal law. This is political harassment. An accusation he leveled at California Senator Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. All three have denied the allegations. You don't get the qualifier here that all of them are like stone cold, obviously guilty. Of course, hanging people up on picayune matters of law is something that was also done to Trump. So when Adam Schiff, Letitia James, and Lisa Cook engage in flagrant mortgage fraud, just straight up blatantly lying on mortgage applications, that's just picayune matters of law. During Trump's first term, aide Miles Taylor wrote an anonymous book about the quiet resistance to presidential policies, the intentional misdirection, the slow walking. That isn't happening anymore. So remember, before it was just like this shambolic display of they have no idea what they're doing. But also, during his first term, a employee of the federal government wrote a book about how people were obstructing him. If all Trump had discovered in his second term was a few tricks of political hardball, it might be an exaggeration to call it regime change. Carrying out policies the public voted for has often required disciplining ambitious executive branch officials, and sometimes their partners in the private sector. Trump's attempt to blackball such law firms as Paul Weiss and Perkins Coie for pro bono work done on behalf of liberal causes was exceptionally crude, but not unprecedented. As the Barack Obama administration ramped up its support for gay marriage in 2011, the law firm King and Spalding came under pressure from LGBT activist groups like the Human Rights Campaign and corporations like the Coca-Cola Company, and withdrew from its representation of House Republicans defending the Defense of Marriage Act. We need so many helicopter rides, man. So many helicopter rides. How does a human being occupy this space where in one article they characterize these things that Trump is doing in like basically the most disparaging terms they possibly can, while also explicitly delineating how every other president has done the same stuff? Thank you for subscribing, Flickery. In his first months in office, the Trump administration also pressured the Smithsonian over a painting by portraitist Amy Sherald, Transforming Liberty, which depicted the Statue of Liberty as transgender. Patriot, in my opinion. In general, Trump administration officials think civil rights law can be as much a tool for pressuring corporations and universities as for healing relations among social groups. So true! They're not wrong. The government was already weaponized, to use a favorite Trump word, before he reoriented the weapon. Still, Trump has gone further than his predecessors. Leakers have revealed plans the Trump administration might carry out if unrestrained, like suspending habeas corpus in order to fight illegal immigration. Never been done before. Literally no president has ever suspended habeas corpus. Don't Google it. And with its new mastery of the executive branch machinery, the Trump administration has liberated aspects of the president's character that last time around had no room to flourish. One is alleged corruption of an unrivaled flagrancy. Early on, the Qatari government offered a lavishly outfitted Boeing 747-8, earmarked for Trump's post-administration library and clearly intended as a personal presidential gift. In September of 2024, Trump's and Steve Witkoff's sons launched a crypto-focused company called World Liberty Financial, in which an Emirati sheikh secretly, until exposed by the Wall Street Journal, bought a 49% share. One fresh episode laid out in the book is the triangle trade between the Emirati state investment firm MGX, the Chinese-founded crypto company Binance, and WLF. Binance's founder, Changpeng Zhao, reportedly the richest man in crypto, was convicted of money laundering in 2023, but pardoned by President Trump last October. Zach Witkoff announced in May that the Emiratis had made a $2 billion investment in Binance using a stablecoin issued by World Liberty. WLF has strongly denied any wrongdoing or involvement in securing a pardon for Zhao. The Gulf states are known to be a main channel through which China acquires advanced Western AI chips. In the days since the publication of regime change, financial disclosure statements have revealed that Trump made $2.2 billion in his first year back in office, more than triple his earnings from the year before, with $1.4 billion of it coming from crypto. You're telling me he made more money as president than he did while he was being prosecuted for all sorts of flagrantly, pardon the pun, trumped up charges. I want my president to triple his earnings every single year as compensation for all the bullshit that he had to go through at the behest of faggots like Chris Caldwell. The way this presidency deals with money is always unsettling. It is partly a story of plutocracy, familiar from that of the 19th century robber barons, albeit in different industries. In a curious episode that Haberman and Swan recount from the weeks after Musk broke with Trump in the spring of 2025, Jeff Bezos sought Trump's support to build out a satellite constellation at Cape Canaveral that would rival Musk's Starlink. Bezos' argument was that it was dangerous on national security grounds to have only one company launching satellites. That's a very good point. This is plutocracy. Apparently, for the first time ever, we have a president that's engaged in business dealings with big business leaders. Literally never happened once before. But sometimes the arrangement is less familiar, more kleptocracy than plutocracy, with something Arabian about it. Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff's main business associates are now in the Gulf states. The arrangement by which Kushner and Witkoff decide the fate of Middle Eastern countries in which they have large investments is one that Haberman and Swan explore in depth. At times, they are surprisingly positive about it. Kushner is a crown prince in his own right, they say, bound to the big man by marriage, not legalese, and therefore more trustworthy than anyone the State Department could send. The very things that make Kushner a suspect emissary in an American context make him an ideal interlocutor in the Gulf. So, you delineated before how in his previous administration he was being obstructed the whole time, and yet now it's sketchy that he uses his son-in-law, who he personally trusts, to handle important, sensitive work. This whole Trumpian arrangement, it's also like, you know, he's insinuating lots of things here. The Gulf states are known to be a main channel through which China acquires advanced Western AI chips. So wait a second. Is Trump too belligerent with China, or is Trump owned by China? This whole Trumpian arrangement, though it can teach us much about organizational transformation, is not looking sustainable or even particularly stable. Something changed in Trump toward the end of last year. Perhaps it had to do with the September assassination of the 31-year-old campus organizer Charlie Kirk. As measured by internet traffic, Kirk's death was the biggest story of the year, and for good reason. Beyond Trump himself, Haberman and Swan note, arguably no one was more significant than Kirk for gluing together the modern right. That was particularly true in the movement's youth wing, and polling this spring showed young Trumpians coming increasingly unglued. So, it's not looking sustainable, it's not stable. Something changed. This really important guy got assassinated, and things just kind of changed. Since last fall, although the authors do not mention it, Trump's crudity has sometimes crossed into cruelty. Oh, man! Guys, did you hear? Trump was cruel! Fagface over here wants us to know that Trump was cruel. The December 2025 murder of actor-director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer, both political foes of Trump, was a turning point. The president mocked them in an X post, accusing Reiner of having, quote, a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. So true, Mr. President!
We're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you.
Questioned about it by a discomfited reporter at a press conference. Oh, the poor reporter was discomfited. Think of the reporters! Trump said, quote, he was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. So true. My president speaks facts. 3 months later, after former FBI Director Robert Mueller died, Trump posted, good, I'm glad he's dead. A trouk, they're calling it. Everyone is used to Trump's fast and loose talk. Gloating over a citizen's death is something different. A citizen. Both of these guys had dedicated their entire lives to combating Trump, to trying to get him sent to jail for life, bankrupted, and or killed. And anybody close to him. They went through his wife's underwear drawer. Gloating over a citizen's death is something different. I don't know if anyone's going to miss you when you're gone, Christopher Caldwell. But Trump is a gambler. On at least 2 occasions over the past year, he has, seemingly without knowing it, placed his political destiny in the hands of adversaries. The first time came during the madcap trade war with China in the spring of 2025, when Trump raised Chinese tariffs to 145%, under the mistaken impression that Chinese tariffs were much higher than they were. When Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick showed Trump the actual tariffs China and India were levying on the United States, Trump called them bullshit numbers. So true. China matched the U.S. tariffs and added an embargo of its rare earths indispensable to American manufacturing and weaponry. This is perhaps the best chapter in regime change, especially for its account of how Lutnick and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who despise each other, allied in order to talk Trump down from a course that both feared could destroy the world economy. China agreed to a cessation of trade hostilities at the end of the summer. It did not have to. He just keeps getting lucky. Why did they agree to that? They had him by the balls. Why did they just let go? Fucking retards. Similarly, Trump brought the United States into a war alongside Israel to destroy Iran's nuclear enrichment capability in June of 2025. Within a few days, it was evident that Israel was having trouble replenishing its air defenses against the mix of drones and missiles launched by Iran. Through a ramped-up bombing campaign of his own, Trump was able to prevail on Iran to back down. Like China, it did not have to. Then why did they? These people believe they live in a magical world. But Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reopened the war last year, and the consequences have proved baleful. If it persists, it will destroy his presidency. The promise of no Middle Eastern wars was the sine qua non of Trump's rise. He was elected on an agenda of urgent domestic reform. Even the most ardent Republicans remember how the Iraq War put an end to domestic policy for the last 6 years of George W. Bush's presidency. The implication of Haberman and Swan's title is that the regime change the president sought in Iran is actually occurring closer to home. As noted, regime change can seem a grandiose term, an exaggeration of what is merely the refining of a few tricks drawn from Newt Gingrich's Machiavellian playbook and Musk's hacking ethic. Trump was the first modern president, the authors write, to govern as though the international system simply did not exist. So true. So true. Exactly what I voted for. I voted for a modern president who would govern as though the international system simply did not exist. The international system can suck my president's MAGA cock. But there is something larger happening than Trump's merely going rogue or being a bad global citizen. The spread of computer networks means that new systems of control have arisen. Certain corporations now hold the power to order the lives of everybody, not just their employees and not just their customers. SpaceX builds more rockets than any government. Whether your life savings is protected from hackers may now depend on Anthropic's Claude Mythos, as well as on your country's financial regulators. Power vectors in the public and private sectors are entangling. Cryptocurrencies can connect one to the other. Ah! Older people understand corruption as an undermining of government. The new regime Haberman and Swan describe is one in which the corruption is the government. Let us hope they are wrong about it, because the Trumps will likely be neither the most skilled nor the most ruthless operators this regime throws up. Incredible. Once again, they can't help but make my president look awesome. I don't know how they do it. Just somehow, every time they hue and cry and ree about him, they just make him look awesome. They make me want to vote for him again. This is not the Caldwell you guys are thinking of. This is a different Caldwell. This is a guy contributing writer for the New York Times and Wall Street Journal, contributing editor at the Claremont Review of Books, former contributor of book reviews to Slate, columnist for the Financial Times, senior editor at the now defunct Weekly Standard. Yeah, it's not Cantwell. Christopher Cantwell was the Charlottesville guy. There were some interesting little nuggets in that, though, like the confirmation that Lutnick and Besant hate each other. I mean, it was kind of obvious. It seemed as if that was the case. And looked like Lutnick was going to have the Treasury Secretary job buttoned up, and then the great gigafag came swooping in and took it away from him. And they've clearly clashed at many times in the past. So that wasn't super surprising, but interesting to get confirmation of it. All right, well, it has been a long day. And as you can tell, I'm tired. So, yeah, Christopher Caldwell wrote Age of Entitlement. Yeah, that's the guy. That is the one. Old boomer, quote-unquote conservative. Wish my kid a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Jeff Accordion Jr. Hopefully it was an excellent... How old is Jeff Accordion Jr.? Juniorette? I don't know what... I don't know what we're talking about. She's 3. Oh, great. What a great age. Happy birthday, Jeffette Accordion. Jeff Accordionette? Jeff Accordionette. I actually kind of like that. Jeff Accordionette. There you go. I have dubbed her Jeff Accordionette. Thus she shall be known. Happy birthday to the little one. Hopefully it was a great one. Girl number 2, no sons. Well, there are... I've heard there are ways. I've heard there are methods. But it would be too graphic. This is a family show, and it would be too graphic to describe the methods. But I'm sure that you could Google that and figure out how to change that. Happy birthday, Accordia. Accordia, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. The Wednesday Lab. Thank you for all your great contributions, blowing out the tip goal, which reminds me, we need to do a drawing, don't we? Fortunately, it looks like everything has filled in properly. Ooh, we got another one. Another Patriot has signed up. Let me just scan this real quick. Make sure we don't have any duplicates. I think I recognize every name here. And I do not see a duplicate. All right. So let us draw. So we've got, oh, not that number. We gotta do the drawing here. So rand between, how many we got? We got 29. So what's our total at right now? Hold on. We got to find out what the number is. 450. 450 total. Let me just double check, make sure nothing else happened to come in anywhere else. So as it stands now, $45 in the form of a digital gift card to your retailer of choice. I can't remember if there was something else that came in via Venmo or Cash App, so let me just double check that real quick. Let you guys hang in limbo for a moment. That one is old. So Cash App. And okay, yeah, nothing came through. So $45. $45 for some fortunate son of a gun. Fortunate son plays in the background. Answer 3. Emperor Atreides. How great is that? Emperor Atreides. The man is always here. A great supporter of the show. Fantastic. Love to see Patriots rewarded. I mean, every single name on here is a Patriot. I recognize every single one of them. And I think I have a story that I could tell about every single person here. Now, there's a couple that I maybe don't know quite as well, but I recognize every single one of them. And I can vouch for the Patriot status of every single one of you. So, Emperor Atreides, I'll be hitting you up to find out where you want your gift card from. Congratulations. Thank you for the support. He's getting paid back a little bit of what he paid in. It's wonderful how that works, isn't it? And a reminder, once again, go to chudconevent.com. Sign up. Labor Day weekend. Summer doesn't have to end. The Cyberbullies first IRL event. Labor Day weekend in the Appalachian countryside. Northern-ish Virginia. Exact location will be revealed after you sign up. chudconevent.com is the website. Go check it out. I read through it at the beginning of the stream. It'll be a great weekend with the boys. So go sign up. Get your tickets ASAP. And this is actually a time now. I'll say this again. I'll probably have to repeat it because I never know who's watching. But this is what I was hinting at yesterday when I said that I'm going to need your guys' help to convince Mrs. Kingpilled to do something crazy, what we are considering is, instead of flying up there, we're considering road tripping it. Driving up and taking Eastwood to NASA in Houston, taking him to Huntsville, Alabama, taking him to Kentucky, which he believes is the most important state of the union for some reason. He calls it the United States of Kentucky. He would be beside himself with glee if we told him we were taking him to Kentucky. And then maybe take him into D.C., take him to Mount Vernon, see where George Washington lived, and some other patriot locations. But in order to cover the cost of that, you guys already pay for you're the ones who fund our groceries and our rent and our car payment and all that stuff. You guys already pay for everything else. So it's up to you guys whether or not I will be able to convince Mrs. Kingpilled that we need to do a little extended patriot road trip for the sake of Eastwood's education. So days like today, they help very, very much. You guys are phenomenal. You're incredible. I love every single one of you. Thank you for all of your loyalty and your contributions, being in the chat. And please do tip your streamer. Tips.kingpill.com. Every little bit counts, and I mean that. Every few dollars makes a difference. It all goes for paying bills and keeping a roof over my family's head. So I love you. Thank you, guys. I should be back tomorrow for another episode of The Astrolabe. Follow the Telegram channel, t.me/Kingpilled. Go join the Kingpilled Discord, kingpilled.com. We will have a voice chat on Friday evening. And follow me on X, @Kingpilled. And please do go interact with the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed over there. Hit the bell for the notifications, like the streams, comment on them. Doing my best to reply to the comments. Try to get a little interaction on the channel. And for now, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make